Honestly, it can be so overwhelming. There's so much information out there on how to become the woman of our dreams and how to connect to our feminine essence and all these kind of things. So I'm gonna make it real simple for you in this video, and I'm gonna tell you 5 things that all women need to know on their journey to become the most empowered versions of themselves. But first, hi, my name is Yula. I am an intuitive singer, a shadow worker, and I support women on their journey to become the most empowered women that they can be. So I have been on my own journey of reconnecting to my feminine because I was very much in my masculine, and I just didn't know anything about on how to be a woman because nobody taught us. On the contrary, we're actually being taught on how to be men. That's how we get into this world. We're taught to be men. That's kind of how it is. We're not being taught anything about our bodies, about our menstrual cycle, other than a little bit of biology maybe in school, which also just doesn't cover anything of like the energies of the cycle and how to work with them. It's all biology that is super boring for everyone. And on top of that, we're being shamed for our pleasure, for our sensuality, for our sexuality, for our bodies, for so many things. And especially we're being shamed for our blood, which is also really ridiculous because our blood is literally magic. So thank you for taking time to connect to your womanhood and to actually seek out this information so you can step up. And also by doing that, you are serving the whole world. Like when every woman steps into her power, she is serving not just her lineage, but also the women who walk after her, who walk before her, and the world in general. So let's get straight into the first thing that you need to know about yourself as a woman. So the most important part of this is your cycle. And I know it is like this big topic that every woman experiences like almost her whole life. And we don't know much about it. Like we are not being taught, again, in school, maybe a little bit of biology, but when our first period comes, usually it's being silenced almost. Like when I had my first period, my mom gave me some pads and she was like, all right, you're gonna deal with it. And that's not her fault because she didn't know either. And so we come into our period, which literally marks the threshold of becoming a woman, and we're being left completely alone. Like we don't know what to do with this. We don't know how these new hormones work in our body. We don't know all these different emotions that also come with it. And so this is the most important part of being a woman, to know about your body, know about your cycle, because our cycle, it's not just we bleed and that's it. There is a whole spectrum of energies that we move through as women each month. Your cycle is an inbuilt guidance system that can literally guide your life if you let it. And what's also really important to note with this is that your hormonal cycle is completely different compared to a man. A man has a 24-hour hormonal cycle, so he's very stable in his energy if you look at the days and weeks. Like he's very stable, and it's great, you know, like we need men to be stable so they can actually hold space for us while we are going to a whole array of hormones and fluctuation in energy levels and all these different things. So I will make more videos on this topic, but just for the sake of this video, I will give you a rough overview. So we have 4 phases each month that we move through. The first phase is our winter. So it is our first day of bleed. Our energy levels are very low, and this is connected to the crone, the wise woman. So I'm not going to go super into detail with this for now. Just again, to give you a rough overview. So this is the week of your bleed. Your energies are really low, like and that time you shouldn't do much. Like you shouldn't push yourself, like the freaking tampon ads that tell you you can do anything when you're on your period. Go ice skating, go doing heavy sports activities, and that's such nonsense. And there you also see how we are being programmed by the media that when we're on our period, you can do anything and you should do anything and you should be just pushing through. So you can be a functioning member of society, wrecking your body while doing that. So if there's one thing you take from this video, it's honoring your bleed, taking rest. And I know it's not possible for everybody because we do have to work and we do have to make ends meet and all these things. But if you can just take an hour, like the more you can take, the better, obviously, but just like make an effort to take time to rest, because your body is literally shedding and bleeding, and we're losing energy in the process of doing that, and we need to rest during that time. So again, this is quite a complex topic, so I'm not going to go super into detail now. So the second week is spring. So this is the week after our bleed, when our energy levels are slowly rising again. This is the energy of the maiden, and we feel more energized again. And everything feels a bit lighter. We're coming out of the darkness, and it's like spring, right? The flowers are starting to bloom, and yeah, our energy levels are rising again. Then summer comes along. Summer is during our ovulation. It's the phase of the mother. And in that phase, our energy levels are at its peak, like super high energy levels. That's the time when we can like work even more than a man. That's when we are really going for it. We're creative. We're really in the juice. And so after that, that's the week before your menstruation. That is the phase of autumn, and it's the phase of the wild woman. So that's, some people call it PMS. That's when emotions are a little bit high, and that's when the wild woman comes out. The wild woman is unapologetic. She's the dark feminine. I just made a video about that, so maybe you want to check that out. And that phase is very good for speaking our truth. That's when we're really fierce. And so it can help with communication. It can help with, speaking up truth, setting really proper boundaries, protecting ourselves. And then we move into winter again. So that's the kind of the cycle that we go through each month. And again, our energy levels fluctuate a lot. So if we work against that and we just push through the whole time, we will feel exhausted all the time. And if we actually work with the cycle and that the energy and with the energy it provides, we can actually really we can do some good shit. So when we actually work with these energy levels and listen to them, then we can really use these to our advantage, and we can actually get way more done and be way more efficient in what we do. So if you're taking anything from this video, it's this: your cycle is super, super, super important to every woman. And it also doesn't matter if you still have a womb or if it maybe has been removed, you will always have an energetic imprint of your womb in your body. So it's never lost, even if your physical womb might not be there anymore and you're still going through these phases. Maybe you don't bleed, but energetically you're still moving through those phases. And this actually brings me to the second point in this video, and it is to connect to your womb. Because your womb as a woman is super important, holds super magic, and she also is a guide for you. Like, she holds a lot of magic. And also she holds a lot of trauma. So when we work with trauma and when we want to step into our energy, we need to work with the things that are in our womb, and we need to release them in order to really step into that power. It's super important to connect to her, to listen to her, and you can actually let her make decisions. Like when it comes to men, when it comes to work, she knows what's up. When you make the time to listen to her, you have an ally, you have a literal guide in your life that can help you with making hard decisions. And she will always know what's best for you. Honestly, ever since I have connected to my womb, my life has changed completely. Also, since I've connected to my cycle, because I was super disconnected from my cycle. Like, I had no idea. It was just like tampon in and let's go. And that's just not the way to go. Like, that is so wrong. And I'm really mad that society is like, has it so backwards. And there were times when we totally knew about this and it just has all been erased. And you want to know why? Because powerful women are dangerous. Dangerous. Powerful women are powerful, and they are the connection to the divine. And, church came in and they wanted to have that for themselves. So they systematically suppressed women and suppressed their magic and actually made their magic wrong and workings with the devils. And then all women were burned. Yada, yada, yada. It's a whole story. I'm not going to go into detail, but that's basically why we have been bereft of all this knowledge. And so ever since I started connecting to these things, like, my life has changed so much. It feels so great that I can make the time during my bleed and to listen to my womb. And I have made some really big decisions based on my womb. And they always turned out amazing. Even if maybe my mind was like, what the fuck am I doing? But then I just was like, okay, I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to listen to her because she knows, and to trust her in that as well, and to trust myself. And these decisions have always been the best possible decision I could have made. And also using the energy of my cycle and to really living my life according to my cycle, and to rest when I bleed and to go full power when I'm ovulating, because that's when I'm most magnetic as well. Like that is when we are most in our power, when we are most juicy, when we're feeling most pleasure. And that is an amazing superpower to have if we use it. Number 3 is connecting to our pleasure. My love, your pleasure probably has been shamed a lot in your life. And I can say that from my own story. I have been through a lot of shame when it comes to my sexuality and when it comes to my pleasure. And our pleasure is, next to our cycle, next to our womb, the most important thing. I will probably say that about every single thing in this video, but honestly, like, your pleasure is literal life force energy. When you experience pleasure on a regular basis, your life will shift, because all of this life force energy is moving through your body and helps you to actually be more creative and to be more of, to bring more creative energy into this world, and to bring it into your work, to bring it into your relationships, to bring it into every area of your life. And that is how you cultivate your power as a woman. So back in the days, my self-pleasure practice, I can't even call it that now, was very like quick getting there, right? And it was very disconnected from my body. It was very disconnected from everything. And it was also a way to disconnect. And that is also something, you know, like, you can use these things to escape. And it's, I think, more common in men than it is in women. I think women struggle more with having a self-pleasure practice at all, because there is so much shame. And many women say, I don't need that. Like, I don't really feel like I want to do that. And that's exactly what I mean. Like, a woman disconnected from her pleasure is a woman disconnected from her power. And even if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, but I don't really feel like I need this, then chances are that there are blockages that keep you from experiencing that and from wanting to experiencing that. And these blockages is exactly what we need to work through, so we can experience that pleasure again and let that life force energy flow through us, so we can feel more alive. And it's really like the world has just more colors when you're connected to your pleasure. So ever since I really started to connect to my pleasure and to connect to my body, it hasn't been about getting to the peak. It's more about the experience in itself. Like, it's more about the sensations and like feeding that pleasure and like getting it to grow and to grow. And it doesn't need to be, you know, to explode, which it can. And actually, as women, we should come regularly. It is just a thing. This energy should be flowing through us on a regular basis, on contrary to men, because for men it is an explosive orgasm, while for women it is an implosive orgasm. So for us, the energy is not lost, but for men it is, because they're ejaculating, right? So that's why they feel very depleted afterwards, and we could basically go again. And so for men, it is very different. So that's also why many men, not many, more should do it. But my partner, for example, does it. He does a practice that is called semen retention. So he is not exploding, so he's not ejaculating, but he keeps that creative force within him, that life force energy, and he moves it through the body. And that's when we talk about Kundalini awakening. That's like very spiritual words. So maybe you're not resonating with this, but it has been proven that these energies move up to us, and that they move into the pineal gland and they activate the pineal gland. And that's when everything becomes very colorful, right? But for that, we must move that energy upwards. So that's like a whole different story. Again, a very complex topic. So number 4 of the really important things that you need to know as a woman is to connect to your voice. So our voice, and I'm, as an intuitive singer, I'm very passionate about this topic, because our voice is so overlooked in this world. Like, our voice is not a thing, but your voice is a thing. And it's not just a thing to talk or to communicate, right? Your voice holds so much more. The way we talk, the quality of our voice is really important in how we create our world and how we also manifest. So if you're into manifestation, you should look into your voice. And also, when it comes to our voice, there are so many blockages, my goodness. And again, like, I've been working with a lot of women on their voice, because intuitive singer and shadow worker, so I combine these things. So I work with a lot of these blockages that we carry in our throat. And our throat is also the center of expression. So when our voice is blocked, our whole expression is blocked. Like the whole way we experience the world and we communicate with the world is blocked. And that's when many women get very shy, and it's hard for them to set boundaries. It's hard for them to speak up for themselves. So our voice holds so many blockages. Like when we're little girls, we're being told to be nice and quiet and to not speak our truth and to actually suppress our truth in order to please others. And that is exactly why it is so important to connect to your voice and to release these blockages from your voice so that you can actually freely express yourself in this world. And again, the voice has not necessarily something to do with singing, although that is also a very important thing, and it doesn't matter what you sound like. It's more about really like letting out energy through the voice, no matter what that sounds like. And to be able to really set the boundaries, to communicate properly, and to set the boundaries, to be truthful, to be fully expressed. Because we cannot be powerful when we are afraid to speak our truth, when we are afraid to set those boundaries, when we're afraid to be outspoken and to actually say what we think, even if it rubs people the wrong way. So the fifth and last really important thing to know as a woman is to balance masculine and feminine energies. So I personally was a lot in my masculine. I was very much disconnected from my feminine. I was disconnected from my body. I was a lot in the mind. The mind is the masculine. I was a lot just in doing mode and in action mode, and I couldn't actually rest properly. I was always kind of like going, and I was really disconnected from myself and from the power that I have as a woman. And again, that's exactly what society wants, because women disconnected from their femininity are women that are not in their power and are women that are not dangerous to any societal structures or any other power structures that are unfortunately in place in this world at the moment. And so also, like, this actually reaches really deep, because if you think about it, when you are in your masculine, you will attract a feminine man. And most women are complaining about that, right? Like a lot of women, me included, I used to complain about that I would attract men that are like, wussies, and that would not take responsibility and that would not be able to hold me emotionally, and where I always had to be the one in charge, the one who makes decisions, the one who's driven and focused and structured, and that's the masculine. And so if we're disconnected from the feminine and are in our masculine, we will attract men that are the opposite, which is in their feminine. So they will not make decisions. They will be very like floaty and very indecisive and like actually be in the unbalanced feminine version. So it is very important to come into your feminine, because when you come into your feminine, then you will attract men who are masculine. And I am the best example for that, because again, like I used to attract more feminine men, and I was the one wearing the pants in the relationship because the man just wouldn't step up. But I failed to realize that that was not his fault. It was my fault for attracting that into my life, because it was just a reflection of my internal state of the imbalance of masculine and feminine energies within me. So once I took care of actually connecting to my feminine, I started attracting men that are more masculine. And the best example is right now, I am in a relationship with a man who is really in his masculine, who takes care of me, who nurtures me, who makes decisions, who's assertive, who holds me in my emotions, who holds the space for my feminine, who respects me, and all these things. And I, in turn, can be more soft, and I can more relax. I can be more in my feminine and just flow with him, because I trust him to lead, basically. And so he makes decisions, and he takes me out, and he takes me out on dates and all these things, and he plans all of that, and I can just flow with it, and I feel so good, because that makes me feel really held and really safe. And that is such a profound feeling and such a profound stage to be in as a woman. And it is so sad to me that so many women cannot experience that. And at the same time, again, we must take responsibility for that, and we must take the steps to connect to our feminine so that it can be reflected in the world we experience, including our relationships. And then we can actually feel more fulfilled, more safe, and just more juicy in relationships. And also just makes you feel way less stressed. Like when you're too much in your masculine, chances are that you feel very stressed, that you feel very disconnected. It might even be in the form of depression. For me, it did definitely get some depression out of me. Anxiety, little sleep or really bad sleep because we're just like overthinking and like all these things. So if we really take the steps to connect to our feminine, it just changes your life, man. It just changes your life. And also what's really important to know is that a woman can only fully open if she feels safe. And so right now, I do think that many women are in relationships where they feel emotionally not safe. And when we don't feel safe, we cannot fully open up. And when we cannot fully open up, we cannot fully relax, and we cannot fully drop into our bodies, and we cannot fully experience all the whole spectrum of pleasure that is available to us. So balancing your masculine and feminine is probably just as important as all the other things that I just told you. So my love, this is all the juice that I got you today. These are the 5 most important things that all women need to know. And if you're curious, subscribe, give a like, give me a little comment. And also you will find yummy freebies down below in the description box. You will find a guided meditation, you will find free journal prompts for the wild woman, and you will even find a free workshop on how to free your voice. So I send you so much love, and I see you in the next one.